friends. If the fire alarm should sound, please remain in the auditorium and stay seated where you are. Should there be a need to evacuate, a Springmore staff member will direct you on how to leave in an orderly fashion. Please remember not to use the elevators and to go to a red pole once outside. Thank you. All right. First, I'm Julia McCullers, outgoing president of the Residents Association, and I'd like to welcome especially any new residents who are attending an association meeting for the first time. Whether you are here in person or virtually, we welcome you to Springmore. Change gears. November is a month with more than its share of special days when you think about it. On Thursday of this week, November 11th, Americans will celebrate Veterans Day, a time when we demonstrate our gratitude to the many, many men and women who have served this country through times of war and times of peace. Their service is priceless, and it deserves recognition not only on November 11th, but every day that we live in America. I'm going to name very quickly the branches of our armed services in the order that they were formed. And I request that veterans, people who have served in these branches of the military, stand when their specific brand is named. And I will ask that we save our applause to the end, and I'd like to see how many we're involved here. First, those who served in the United States Army, formed on June 14th, 1775. Where are our Army veterans? The United States Navy, formed on October 13th, 1775. Please stay standing. Anchors away. Where are you? Okay. The United States Marine Corps, formed on November 10th, 1775. Hoorah! Semper Fi. Where are you? The United States Coast Guard, formed on August 4th, 1790. Semper Paratus, always prepared. And the United States Air Force, formed officially on September 18th, 1947. Off we go into the wild blue yonder. Where are you? Let's give these people a hand. November is also Military Families Month. Sometimes these sacrifices that have helped our country so much go unrecognized. So I'm going to ask first if you would please raise your hand if you have been the spouse or are the spouse of someone who has served in the armed forces. There you are. There you are. And would you please now raise your hand if one of your parents ever served in our armed forces, if you were ever a military brat? Attaway. Thank you. Give them a hand. And of course, Thanksgiving is another November holiday that is on the radar for Thursday, November 25th. This year, our dining services are offering traditional Thanksgiving turkey and all the trimmings in 3 ways. One seating is at 11:45, another is 1 p.m. Reservations required, no takeouts, but delivery to your unit is available if you go through the necessary steps and pre-order. Be sure to make your plans with dining services. Then, We're not through with November quite yet. On Sunday, November 28th, more special events. The first Sunday in Advent and the beginning of Hanukkah. And the countdown begins in earnest. And that brings up a topic very important to the holidays: gifts. A friendly reminder. This 122-page manual, the Resident Services Directory, was given to each of us when we moved here. Mine is now 5 years old. In it, on page 22, the subject of gifts comes up. And this is what it says in my residence manual. It is Springmore policy that individual employees may not accept tips or gifts of money or anything of value from any resident. It is Springmore policy to terminate any employee who accepts a gift. We ask you to follow this policy because offers to employees place them in an awkward position and place their job in jeopardy if they all accept such gifts or tips. That sounds like Moses coming down from the mountain, doesn't it? Thou shalt not give gifts of money or anything else, or else the employees will be terminated. The executive committee of this organization discussed this policy at length and agreed that it probably needed modification and clarification. We acknowledge that for residents to offer cash, tips, or gift cards to employees could be problematic, but often we do want to share items with workers who could make good use of them. Under the old policy, residents who wanted to have a hamburger at lunchtime or get a Coke out of the refrigerator or give away a blouse or a pair of shoes that they no longer needed, or some item from the kitchen that they no longer had use for, they felt guilty instead of generous. And employees felt guilty if they accepted it and realized that they might lose their jobs if they did. Generosity came to be a feeling of guilt. This is what I'm going to read next, is the new official policy adopted actually several months ago. This is the official policy regarding gifts to employees suggested and drafted by the Residents Association and Springmore Management. So let me read to you from the July 1st of this year, Gifts to Employees new policy. And I ask you to listen carefully. In July, most of us had what some people call beach brain. We were thinking about sand and surf and waves and water. We were perhaps not paying close attention. I was not. But this is how the change reads. Listen, please. Springmore policy states that employees may not accept gifts of money from residents, whether the gifts are in the form of cash, checks, or gift cards. Paragraph 2. Residents who choose to give items of very limited value, such as food, used clothing, or small household items to an employee may do so. The resident must not feel any pressure to give, and the employee must not feel pressure to accept. Any problems will be referred to the executive director. Paragraph 3. Residents, and this is a rare occasion, I understand what this paragraph covers. Residents who want to sell any item to an employee must obtain a purchase form from the Human Resources Department. Both the resident and the employee making the purchase must sign the agreement. The executive director will make the final approval and the signed purchase form will be placed in both the employee's file and the resident's file. We're talking there about things like if you want to sell your car or something huge, then you go through those steps. But paragraph 2, which I read earlier, residents who choose to give items of very limited value, such as food, used clothing, and small heights, may do so, so long as neither party feels guilty or ill at ease. And the last paragraph says, we ask that both residents and employees follow these policies to ensure that neither party is placed in an awkward position. I think that's an improvement. Okay. All right. Now, one more editorial comment before we move on. Oh, would you like for that to be reprinted for everybody to have a copy? Would you like to see that? Don't the Ten Commandments type thing, thou shalt not, from the manual. You need to have something in writing that makes you feel more at ease, correct? So, Brandon, we could have it put in next month's resident memorandum.
Yes, I will reprint that again.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Before Christmas.
Right before, that's the whole point, yeah. This is the time when we want to give, why not? Okay, one more editorial comment before we move on. Today, Monday, reservation forms for our wonderful Christmas at Springmore Gala, to be held on Thursday, December 9th, will be available, not from me, but from dining. The Executive Council of the Residents Association acknowledges that this is a great Springmore tradition, complete with good food and an opportunity to dress in holiday finery. And it could not be held last year, so we have something familiar to look forward to. But the Executive Council of the Residents Association, as well as the welcome committees of North and South and the Resident Life Committee, are requesting that you, in the true spirit of Christmas, be inclusive when you sign up for a table for this event. Are there newcomers and others who would enjoy being a part of your group? That's all from this corner, folks. I'll turn the program now over to first Laurie Higgins, who will speak for the chaplains, and then to Brandon.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to share a couple of brief reminders of some upcoming services and groups that we have going on right now. I wanted to make you aware that we are having a Coping with the Holidays and Grief Support Group. We know this is a difficult time. There's been those of you who have lost a loved one, and the world has just experienced a lot of loss this past year. So we will have this support group on Tuesday afternoons for the next few Tuesdays, and then we will conclude with a Blue Holiday service on December 1st. We will have our annual Thanksgiving service at 10:30 on Wednesday, November 24th. And that will be here in the auditorium. We will have that live, and we will also televise it on 1341. Those are the chaplain's announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Brandon?
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody. This is the biggest crowd we've had in a while. So I guess Brad's a popular guy. So see how well he does today. I'm excited to see everything. He's got some really cool renderings that we're able to get made, and we'll put these out in the lobby for everybody to see, until things are complete. So anyway, won't spoil any of that. Let him talk to you about that. I wanted to give a couple updates on a few things I thought that y'all may find interesting. We had our booster clinic last Monday, and we had a huge turnout. So I want to let y'all know that we gave resident-wise, we're still trying to figure out employees, how many employees got the booster. They kept a little different count with that. So we're working with the pharmacy to get that exactly, because we had North Village and South Village, but we have y'all's exactly. So to let y'all know that we gave 477 booster shots to residents on Monday, and there were 31 that had already received their booster shots from their physicians before Monday. So the last I checked, we had 568 total residents, and we had a total of 508 get their booster, so that's 95%. So y'all should be very, very pleased with that. That's awesome, and I'm hopeful that y'all will make sure everybody knows what a great job y'all did. And as soon as we get the ones for the employees, we'll let you guys know. I just don't have that. I don't have that amount right now, but we'll get that to you as soon as we can. I think they're going to do another clinic next month. So if you missed it or you wasn't here, we'll make sure that y'all know when they do that again. So, all right. Let's see. The next thing I want to talk about real quick was just a couple of updates on dining. Ms. McCullers mentioned a few things about the holidays coming up, which is really important, about Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are really busy times, so make sure you're following those properly and making sure you're filling out everything and following all the procedures so that runs as smooth as possible. But I also want to thank everybody that showed up for the focus groups that we had again. Last week, we had some follow-up focus groups to the first ones we had a couple of months ago, and we received some good feedback and tried to react on a lot of things that were brought to our attention, some of those being the 30-day menu, which we brought back. Some of it was having more side choices of the sides with all the entrees, change in management that came up a couple of times, so we moved forward with that, and several other things. So we're still working on that and still have a ways to go, but I feel good about where we're at and the fact that we were able to implement a lot of stuff from what we found from the focus groups. We have a really great interim director here right now with Judy Bork. I think most everybody's met her. I think she's talked to a lot of people, and she's fantastic. And we're starting to get resumes in now for candidates. So as soon as we can find the right fit for Springmore, we'll let y'all know. We'll have some residents involved with that to make sure they are part of the interview process. So we want to make sure somebody's a great fit for us, and we're just going to take our time until we find the right person. Lastly, we're continuing to try to open things back up. I know that everything's not 100%, so little small things like having the Springs open over in North Village one extra day a week, and then having breakfast back every day over here in North Village. We had to stop that for a while. I know those are small things, but they're kind of big wins whenever we're struggling with staff. So we want to try to bring something else back before we have to take anything away. And in order for that to happen, we're making a huge marketing campaign to try to recruit employees in the dining room. Our main issue is with waiters and waitresses, our wait staff. So we're doing a big social media push to have kids in high school and college apply and get information out to where their parents will look on social media, where they'll look on social media, advertise how good it is to work at Springmore, short hours, scholarship, flexible days of the week, all that good stuff for a kid who's just looking to make some extra money. So I asked if you know anybody, if you have grandkids or if you have friends that have grandkids that are looking for a job, or a youth group at your church that you know are looking for a job, 14 and older, please have them come and apply here. It's a great place to work as a kid. That's how I started in this whole industry, washing dishes when I was 15 years old, and so did Brad. And we're both, still doing it to this day in this industry. So many years later, I started as a dishwasher. I'm proud to say I wash dishes, and so did Brad. So if you know anybody looking for a great job, it's a great first job for kids, learn a lot of life skills, and please have them come and apply. We'd love to have them. So thank you all, and I'll let Ms. McCullers, you next, ma'am? Turn it over. Thank you.
At this point, I will introduce the incoming president for 2022. That sounds funny, doesn't it? 2022, Peg Bedini, who will introduce the speaker for today. Peg?
It's so nice to see such a good turnout today. I think you will really enjoy the program. You're going to get to hear one of our staff members with whom you do not have the opportunity to have much contact. His name is Brad Dilday, and his official title is the Springmore Strategic Projects Director. And of course, right now, his main job is working through the renovation of the Stewart Health Center. He's brought some wonderful information for us that will be very helpful for all of us, so please welcome him.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Ms. Pegg said, I'm Brad Dilday, and I appreciate you all taking the time and giving me your time this afternoon. Hopefully this is a informative session and you can get any questions answered, or hopefully keep you all engaged and get everything situated and answer your questions for what's coming up with the renovations. I'll tell you straight up, I do have a tendency sometimes to talk a little fast when I get in front of a crowd like this, so I'll try to take my time, but if I get to rambling, raise your hand and tell me to slow down. Not going to hurt my feelings, I assure you. So the first thing I wanted to cover in regards to the renovations and then the culture change that will be going along with that is we're going to take care of going through the timeline, kind of how we got to where we are now, some of the roadblocks we encountered along the way, and more importantly, where we're going in the future and what you can expect for the next couple of years while we'll be under construction. Then we'll take you through the physical changes for the building, the layout, some of the additions and some neat new features we'll have, and kind of go through the household model, which is what we're going to be implementing in the health center. And then we'll go through the cultural changes, which has more to do with the person-centered care, which is what we're going to gear everything towards. And the physical changes and cultural changes kind of feed off of each other. As you'll see, a lot of the design was implemented the way it was to accommodate the cultural changes that we hope will go a long way towards making the health center feel more comfortable, feel like home, and not be a scary place to go. You know, hopefully it'll be more encouraging, and everyone will look forward to spending time there and knowing that it's comfortable and you'll be well taken care of. Then I'll try to leave some time for questions and concerns. I'm sure I'm going to talk about everything you want to know, but just in case there's a couple questions, we'll try to leave a few minutes for you. All right, so the timeline, how we got to where we are. If you ask Brandon, I'm sure that my estimate here is not quite right, but the initial planning and direction as far as getting things on paper was about the summer of 2019. I think you all probably started talking about it a long time before that, but the official kind of getting the architects involved and getting everything officially started was around the summer of 2019. I was fortunate enough that got started around the same time I was trying to move back home to Raleigh. And in January of 2020, I interviewed with Brandon, and he brought me on board to help kind of oversee this process, because there's a lot of small pieces. You're dealing with the architects and the engineers and things as detailed as what kind of water faucets we're going to have and what kind of toilets and all the little details that go into the paint colors and all that fun stuff that I think he had enough on his plate. He didn't want to get into the minutia of dealing with that on a daily basis. So I had the pleasure of getting to know the architects and the contractors really well, and I think, you know, with management's input and some resident input, we've got a really nice plan in place, and I think it's going to look really nice and hopefully be what everyone's looking for. So we finally spent all that time getting the plans together, getting the drawings together, making sure everything fit within the regulations for the state, and then we had a permit package that we had to submit. One for DHSR, which is I want to make sure I get this right, the Division of Health Services Regulations. They're looking more at the life safety aspects and the nursing home licensure, making sure that we're within those guidelines and regulations. And then as far as the actual building, we had to submit a permit to the city of Raleigh. That included a site plan for external changes and then the internal changes anything. I found out very quickly, if you're tearing a wall down and it affects any bit of the air conditioning zone, well, you just affected that whole zone. So we sent all that in August of 2020. It was about a 3-month review process. And at the conclusion of that, we received our permits and everything was approved December of 2020. In the midst of that, we were going through our pricing and getting final numbers for all of that when we realized that because of these walls we were taking out, we were going to have to redo the entire HVAC system. That means all new ductwork for the whole health center. That was not necessarily accounted for when we first started the plan. So we were looking at about a $2 million piece of the pie there that we hadn't quite accounted for. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board on some things, and we made some design changes. A few of the nice little external things that we had hoped to include, we had to adjust those, maybe not as extravagant as they once were planned, and everybody's dreams and wishes, maybe we didn't hit all their dreams, just their wishes. So I think it still came out with an awesome product and something that I'm proud of, and I think Brandon would tell you the same thing. It's really been a neat process working through all the changes that we had to do, but still trying to accomplish the goals that we wanted for the end result. So we went through and made all the engineering changes, had to resubmit to the city of Raleigh with their fantastic portal system that they've gone to now, which makes it a little bit more difficult. And then we're subject to their review again. But finally in June, a couple months ago, we got approval and all the permits were signed off on. We got everything in place and we were ready to get started, at least from a permit point of view. So the final permits were done August 2021, stamped, approved. We had to send everything back out to the contractors because, as I learned, they don't like to put a lot of time and effort into making plans when we don't have stamped approved drawings, because they've done this a time or two and they knew that there's going to be some changes coming down the pike. So we finally got them on board now. So now we'll move to the timeline of where we're going. That's kind of where we're sitting now, and that's where I am right now. Sitting and waiting. We've got a plan. We've got everything ready to get started. I'm in constant contact with the contractors trying to get the ball rolling. However, there's some hiccup, as with everything in the world right now. Supply chain is a pain, and trying to get materials here has been a bit of a struggle. But we want to wait until we can get everything, because we don't want to get started and get 3/4 of the way done with a piece and then be sitting there waiting for a couple weeks while we can't get any steel to come in or whatever it is we'd be waiting on. So we're waiting until we get everything together, but it's coming, and I assure you it's coming soon. I know this is going to be difficult to read, but I think it does provide kind of a nice visual for what the expectation is. The whole project is going to be done in phases. The initial plan had us at about 15 phases. After we went through the design changes, that was part of the expense, was that because everything, we were having to shut off sections and turn them back on and then shut them off again. And so we ran into a lot of issues there. So we reduced it from 15 phases to 8 total phases now. What I'll go through, we have the first phase. This is us right here. And it says early November, but I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but next week won't really be early November anymore. So we're trying to get things going here as quickly as we can so that we stay on track, as this has been pushed back enough and we're ready to get going. So you're looking at phase 1 will be about 3 months is the expectation, and that's just primarily external work. There's going to be the new covered vehicular drop-off on the, I call it the backside of the Clayton wing, over by the maintenance, the ground shop there where the generators are. There's double doors there now, but it's just an emergency exit. We're going to turn that in with a nice covered walkway, cut the sidewalk up so that you can get a vehicular drop-off there, and it'll be a nice new entrance, and we'll have all visitor spaces. What were once the numbered spaces for some staff, those will all be visitor spots now, with more handicap spots as well to allow people. It should be a little easier than coming up that big hill right now that takes you into the health center. So you'll have a nice flat entrance coming in there. And that'll be, like I said, about 3 months to get that done. Then we'll move on to phase 2, which is probably the longest phase. That's about 8 months estimated. And within phase 2, you're looking at the courtyard, the memory care courtyard. That's in a disarray right now. We dug it all up in preparation to get the drainage. We were having some issues there, maintenance issues to begin with. So we dug that up, reworked the stormwater drainage so that we could get the water out of there, not have any more issues. So we'll be repaving that and making it look really nice, new landscaping and everything. Then the therapy services area is also going to be done at that same time, which we'll get into the blueprints here in a second, but that's basically where the admin office is now. We're going to get all that cleared out, and PT clinic will be in that area. Then you're going to have a new corridor that's going to close off that courtyard where the ambulance ramp is currently, right near the dumpsters. There'll be a corridor that connects the admin suites now to C-Wing, where the stairwell comes out. So that whole courtyard will be enclosed, and you'll have a nice little corridor connecting those two, and then a brand new elevator on that side of the building as well, so it's quicker access to get up and down instead of having to go all the way around the horseshoe to get back to an elevator. So you can imagine that's going to take some time. We've got to clear out a lot of offices. We got to clear out PT and relocate them for a little while. So there's a lot of planning that's gone in with that, but hopefully we have everything worked out, and it'll be seamless for y'all. You won't notice any difference, but those areas will be under construction for about 8 months. Then you're going to move to phase 3, which is just the lobby area. When you walk in to the health center, the main entrance now, on your left, there's some couches and a grandfather clock. That little area will be reconfigured to have a receptionist right there where you walk in, and then a couple of offices back behind her. And then after that, we'll go to phase 4, which is the first phase that will actually affect the resident areas. That'll be A and B hall, which is, I don't know if are you familiar with ABC dining room, which one that is? So the first one on the left there, when you go past the clinic, if you go to your left, that's A hall and B hall. And those two, first and second floor, was going to be the first area that'll be renovated for residents. So we'll move everyone out into other rooms, get through that whole area. We'll have to leave one of the dining rooms open so we have enough space for everybody to eat and come in, but all the rooms in that area will be vacated at one time so we can get in. That was a much quicker way. Initially, we looked at doing it, maybe moving 2 or 3 rooms at a time, but it's going to be quicker to just get everybody out, less disturbance to just go in there. The rooms aren't changing as far as size. They'll just be renovated with carpet, paint, fixtures, all that stuff, but the actual size of the room won't be changing. But we'll get through all that. We'll do one of the dining rooms at that point. And then the next phase will be the short term. Well, first we'll switch and do the dining room upstairs. Then we'll do the next set of rooms, which will be C, D, and E hall, which is around that back side. So we'll knock all those out, and all those take about 4 or 5 months is estimated for the room and the residential area. And so you're looking at, right now, if we started today, we'd be done at about November of 2023. So it's about a 2-year project to get everything done. But with each phase, we'll get a certificate of occupancy so that when that phase is completed, people can move in and start living there, using those spaces while we're working on the rest. So to get into the physical changes, the neighborhood model is what it's called, what we're moving towards, versus the institutional model. Most nursing homes, when they were built, were designed what they called an institutional model, which is more like a hospital. When they opened them up, they were kind of thought of, hey, nurse patients, we'll have a big nurse station and everybody can look down the hall, and we'll have a big gathering space in the middle where we can keep our eye on everybody. Well, over time, the idea changed that that's not that comfortable for people that are living there. So the thought process was, hey, let's switch this, make it feel more like home, and everyone will be more comfortable, and lives are more enhanced when you can be in a tighter-knit community and you don't just have a long hallway with people sitting in the halls, nurses constantly looking over your shoulder, and hopefully make people feel more comfortable when they're in kind of an enclosed environment. When I came to interview, that's actually Brandon, the excitement he had pitching me on this. I knew nothing about it, and he's telling me about this neighborhood concept, and his excitement was infectious. He made me excited about it. He had just gone to training in Milwaukee, and he's telling me how great it is. It's like a dorm room. You're back in college. You got your suite mates and all this stuff. So it was really cool, and he got me excited about it. And so, I mean, it's awesome what he's got going, and I know he's looking forward to getting this started. Give him a lot of credit for kind of pushing us in this direction. So that's a big part of it, is going to the neighborhood model. Then we'll also have a new wellness area. So right when you walk in, where Joan and the admin offices are now, that whole area is going to be transformed. We'll have the clinic, specialties clinic, PT, therapy services, so PT, OT, speech therapy. That'll all be right there on the first floor where you walk into the health center. We're also going to have an in-house pharmacy that will be where the clinic currently sits. That's going to be turned into an in-house pharmacy. So all the wellness and all the clinical needs for both health center residents and independent residents can be serviced out of that area. You won't have to go through double doors. It'll be kind of open. This image here, you can't see it that well from where you're sitting, but please feel free afterwards, come up, take a look at these. I'll stay up here and answer questions and try to explain what they are, because it's kind of hard to see and envision what you're looking at. But this image here is actually standing in the double doors right now, walking into the health center lobby, and that's what you're going to see. It's going to be much more open and hopefully more inviting, and then when you get to the households is where you'll have your individual doorways. To create the households, there'll be 7 total households, one of which will be Clayton Wing. Already exists kind of as a neighborhood. It's kind of off to itself. It has its own dining, its own activity space. So we're doing some small renovations there just to make it a little bit more accommodating to the rest of the households, closing in the nurses' station so it's not just a bunch of nurses sitting there looking. We're going to kind of wall that in and doing some other little things to help make that a little bit more home-like. But then we also had the staff and residents vote on neighborhood names. So the 6 new neighborhoods that will be downstairs, the 3 downstairs, will be the Greystone neighborhood, which will serve as our AL neighborhood, assisted living, which right now we don't have an assisted living specific area. So that'll be the first time at Springmore that we've had an assisted living area. So that's pretty exciting. We'll have 2 halls, and we're actually going to have showers, individual showers and baths in those rooms. So we will be adding those. Then Windsor Ridge was the name voted for the short-term hall, which will be the middle hallway there in the health center. And then C Wing will maintain its name as the memory care area. Then upstairs, you'll have Stone Quarter, which will mirror basically the Greystone area, but it'll be a long-term resident area. Baker's Landing will be the name of the shorter hall, kind of a smaller neighborhood on C Hall. And then Vestavia Woods will be the back neighborhood on D&E Hall. All these names were taken. We kind of got the idea to initially maybe use Raleigh names, and then it kind of, hey, let's specify just towards Greystone and the community that Springmore is in, and that's how we came about the names. And I think we listed 15 or so for everyone to vote on, and these were the results, what everybody chose. So now we'll get into the fun stuff, let you see the blueprints and how it's going to lay out. So as you can see, it's kind of hard to see back there. I apologize for that. I made it as big as I could with not just being a total blurry mess. But you got your stairs right now coming into the main entrance, and this is where Joan sits currently. As I mentioned, all that's kind of a yellowish green. That's going to be the new clinic area. You'll have a nice new waiting room, a new office, and we'll have 4 new clinic rooms, plus a large specialty clinic area back there, some labs, and a workstation for the nurses back there. Then this big section right here, this blue section, is going to be the therapy services section. So all the PT stuff you may have seen upstairs, parallel bars and all that kind of stuff, that'll be downstairs right here in this main area. And what's now the clinic right here will actually be the pharmacy. So when you come in, I think right now the hallway kind of turns and goes up here, but this new hallway is going to come straight ahead and lead you right to this new corridor that will connect straight into C Wing right here. And then there's your new elevator sitting right up there by the ambulance ramp. So there won't be any doorways coming in here. It'll be wide open. and let you walk right into the neighborhoods. There's the receptionist, like I mentioned, she's down here right where you walk in. You'll come on in, and then you get to this first set of double doors is going to be the first neighborhood, which will be Greystone, and that is the AL neighborhood. So you see still the hallways just like they are currently, but with rooms that are going to be redone. And as I said before, you will have new showers and baths in all of these rooms. Wheelchair accessible too. We're not going to have the lip on them. I think there's been some issues with the ones in Clayton, but they'll be a flat surface so you can get in and out of those very easily. Then you'll have the new dining room. It'll be a little bit larger than what the dining room is now because it'll include an activity space and a kitchen. So each neighborhood's going to have its own kitchen that will function kind of like a kitchen. You can come and go. You'll be able to get food. If this neighborhood decides they really like Captain Crunch for breakfast, well, they'll keep Captain Crunch in their kitchen. If that's what they decide they want, or they like Oreos every afternoon, well, they'll have Oreos in their kitchen, and the next one might not. So every kitchen will kind of function by itself, but we're limited in what we can cook in there. You'll have anything, as long as we didn't have to put a hood in to get rid of the smoke and ventilation, then we can cook it. So you can still kind of have a microwave. You'll have a refrigerator. You'll have a little like sandwich maker and like a toaster like they have. You can make cookies, you can make hot sandwiches, that kind of thing. So each neighborhood will have that. So you'll have the big, and then an activity space with the television and everything where they can have activities. This space will still be the largest open space. So as far as like Vespers and any big activities that everyone in the health center will be participating in, will still most likely, this will be the best place to have those kind of activities, will be that downstairs ABC dining room. Then you got C Hall, which this will be the short-term hall. And then this switches to it's kind of confusing here, but this is like the north end of the building. So this is what we were just looking at, and then this is C Hall coming up, and that's Clayton Wing going back. The new entrance will be right there. So that's that new covered entrance. And then memory care is actually gaining a few rooms, 3 or 4 rooms up here at the top. And we'll have a dedicated angel room right here at the entrance, quick access right there with that new covered patio. They'll both have their own kitchen, their own dining space, their own activity space. So you can see we're shooting, it's about 12 to 18 rooms in every neighborhood. That way you can kind of build the camaraderie with your group and the people that you go and dine with every day. And it's not that you can't mingle amongst other neighborhoods, but the idea is that you'll grow more comfortable with the group that you're around more often. And you can kind of define, hey, all of us over here, we like to play bingo on Thursdays. Okay, well, y'all play bingo on Thursdays. It doesn't matter what they're doing in a different neighborhood. You don't have to get everybody on the same page. It's a little easier to get 8 people to agree than it is to get 50 people to agree. So this is, I apologize for the quality here, but this is just a quick rendering of that new entrance. This is Clayton Wing. This is the existing D&E hall. I think you got the numbered spaces out here. Tom's shop is kind of over this way. So that just kind of shows you a quick rough what it's going to look like there, that new entrance. And then this is the second floor. It really mirrors what we have going on the first floor, except obviously you don't have as much space where the clinic is upstairs. You're going to we're going to put some HVAC units on the roof up there, but they'll have a screen around them. They won't be able to be seen from the ground level or anything, so you won't even notice that they're there, hopefully. Then the admin offices are going to be upstairs now. So everyone, Carrie Corley and Debbie, I think they came and spoke last month. Their offices will now be upstairs. Right when you come off the first elevator, when you walk in, they'll be right up there in that area. And so they'll still have a receptionist that can greet you and take care of anything anybody needs up there. But the whole admin staff will be up there. Then you'll have another neighborhood pretty similar to the one downstairs, except, again, not adding the baths upstairs. Then you have the short-term, or the C Hall, which will be another long-term neighborhood. And then upstairs, that's probably the biggest neighborhood there. I think it has 18 rooms in it, so that would be one of the larger neighborhoods. But the concept's still the same. Each one has a kitchen. Each one has a dining room. Hopefully get a tight-knit group in there. Everyone starts to kind of enjoy each other and enjoy the new space. This is a picture of one of those upstairs kitchens, just to give you an idea what it's going to look like. You'll have a little bar area. We'll have induction stovetops, so it's actually, it doesn't get hot. It just, you use a like a casserole dish to put on top of it, and it keeps it warm, a chemical reaction. It'll keep it warm so you get the smells and kind of keep everything fresh, but the surface doesn't get hot. So you could touch it, it just feels like a tile countertop, but it's that chemical reaction with what's on the bottom of that pan actually keeps that stuff hot, and they'll have to, stir it up, but it allows the residents, they can come and take a look and, oh yeah, those potatoes look good today, so I'm going to get potatoes when I normally wouldn't, or whatever the situation may be. And you see they got cabinets, and they'll have their own like milk and juice, refrigerator, microwave, coffee, all that stuff that kind of goes along with it will be available 24 hours a day now, whereas it's kind of, you're on dining services time windows right now. This will allow a little bit more freedom to come and go, and if you want a midnight snack or you want your mint chocolate chip ice cream at 10 o'clock, hey, come and get it. We'll keep it in your refrigerator for you. All right, so that kind of covers the actual layout and the physical changes. So I just want to touch a little bit on the cultural changes and what we're doing there. It's just a different way of looking at providing care for the residents. You're really utilizing a team to take care of everyone. The roles are a little bit more blended. I think the best example I've heard, I think Brandon probably came up with it, or I'll give him credit for it, at least up here in front of y'all. It's almost like when you're at your house and you think, hey, I don't really cook that much, but I'll go do the dishes. Or if I see my kids spilled something, hey, I'm going to go clean that up. I don't have to call housekeeping or somebody to come clean that up. I just see a mess. I'll go take care of it. If somebody needs something, hey, can you go get me another orange juice? Yeah, sure, I can go get you another orange juice, even though I'm not in dining services. I can go and take care of that. So it's a little bit more of a team. Everybody, you have your role within the household, but it's not a designated, I only come in and I only clean your room at 10 o'clock every day. You have the freedom to kind of wake up when you choose to wake up. We'll take care of your breakfast. We'll come and clean your room when you prefer, as long as it's not anything out of the ordinary. But, come in and take care of your rooms as long as we get everything done in the normal shift. It's not as specified to having the roles within each household. So it's going to be a little bit more than the remodeling, and then everyone in the household is going to kind of be involved with the activity aspect, meaning they should have more time, because I don't have to go in and clean 20 rooms today from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I got time to sit and talk with a resident. I've got time to color a picture, do whatever it is to kind of keep people involved and keep everyone's spirits up, hopefully promoting a little bit more interaction between staff and residents as well back there. So when we decided to attack this culture change, we decided that it wouldn't be something we could do on our own. We needed the expertise of someone that had kind of done this before. So we found a group called Action Pact, and they've done over 1,000 facilities worldwide. I think Australia was a big early adapter of the household models, but now it's rampant throughout the United States, and Action Pact is just one of the bigger companies that kind of is a consultation services for that kind of switch from institutional to household models. They train your staff on the different ways to provide care and to use person-centered care as your focus. Just because it's convenient for the staff doesn't mean it's necessarily the best thing for the care of the resident. So that's a really big focus is, hey, make sure the resident's happy. We can adjust our staffing and our hours and anything to accommodate what the residents need. The training that we've been doing with Action Pact, the senior staff, they took 2 intense days. Like I said, I think Brandon went up to Milwaukee. It's been a while now. Carrie's been up there to do a really intense training. But we've also had over a year, every couple of months, we've had a representative from Action Pact come, and we formed a steering committee here at Springmore with people from different departments, different levels of jobs within the health center and outside of health center to kind of dictate where we want to take it, because you're going to personalize that, not just, hey, you don't just say this is the cut and paste for everybody. You're going to personalize it to how we already run things, incorporate the same staff, incorporate the different kind of what makes Spring more unique. You don't want to lose that. So they worked with us and we worked with them, sharing ideas, and it really led to what we feel like is going to be a successful model for us. And at this point, action teams is what they've called them. It's kind of small groups of staff members that are working to implement the goals that the steering committee has come up with. Spreading the word. Some of them there's like an action team just to kind of get the word out to other staff members and help train them. There's an action team on things we can do right now before we actually get the physical changes in place. How many of the daily routine things can we change to make it kind of geared towards a household model and more person-centered care as we stand now? So we're in the process of kind of finishing up with the consulting group. And so the goal at the end of the day is we want the residents to feel like it's their home and not like they're in a hospital. Make it look, smell like your own home. You smell cookies in the afternoon. If that's what, makes you think of home, then that's what we want to do. Hopefully brighten the residents' day and get everyone living to their maximum potential, and they can control their own daily activities. More input, and hopefully being in a tight-knit group, you'll be able to kind of dictate, hey, you guys, everybody in this group kind of likes going to watch a movie on Thursday afternoon. Well, you can gear all your planning towards specific neighborhoods instead of trying to get 100 people to gather and do the same activity. That's all I've really got. I'm happy to go through anything in more detail, any questions you have, any comments, concerns, whatever you have. Yes, sir.
The pharmacy that you're building, is that for health services exclusively, or will that be for the entire Springmore community?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's campus-wide. It'll be for the whole campus. Anyone can come and get. Yes, sir.
What's the difference between the assisted living and what we currently have, supported living?
Do you want to do that? You will articulate that better than I will.
Sorry. So that's a great question. So in assisted living, we can provide more services than supportive living. We can provide more hands-on services, like actually we can administer medications instead of just reminding people to take medications. We can bathe them more properly. We can dress them. We can do a lot more things. And the supportive living is supposed to be more cueing, reminding, things of that nature. So it'll be more more of a licensed area where we can have an actual nurse provide more hands-on care. So it's just kind of think of it as just a step up between. It's kind of between skilled nursing, where it's like total care, and then kind of what we do in the supportive living.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we adding or losing beds, or is it going to be the same?
The bed count will be the exact same. The number of rooms and the bed count will be the same. I did mention there's memory care will be gaining, I believe it's 4 new rooms, so that'll allow that to increase capacity. But as far as the actual room counts, that will be the same. We're just giving that neighborhood a couple more rooms.
What's the staffing requirements for this facility?
Well, so the staffing will remain as it is now. It'll be the same number of people. They'll just have a little bit of a different role, some of them. So if you have, I don't know the numbers, but let's just say we have 10 CNAs on staff at any given time. You'll still have 10 CNAs on staff. You'll have 1 in each neighborhood and maybe 3 floating. Or so we're still working through the details on actually how to assign the daily tasks. But as far as the number of people, that's going to remain the same. And a lot of the positions will stay the same as well. For the entire project here? Yeah, between construction and the infrastructure we got to do, so like some of the networking and new nurse call system and that kind of thing, it's right at just under $8 million altogether. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, supportive will still be the same at the end of West. That'll still be there. This is just another layer to help provide better care with the assisted living.
One thing I'll say about that, just to add on, with supportive living, we're gonna now that we'll have more of a defined assisted living area, we'll make supportive living will be even more independent than it is now. A lot of times people go to supportive living because they don't quite need to go to the health center. So when you go to the health center, even if you're assigned an assisted living, unfortunately, you're going to the health center. Our beds are intertwined amongst all the other beds in the health center. So that's why I wanted to create this one neighborhood where we're going to have people that can function the same in a neighborhood that they can, we can all group together. So since we can provide more care for them, that we'll have independent living. Supportive living will be a little more independent than it is now. I don't know exactly what that will be. We started working on policies and stuff, but I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll still have it for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Will there be,
Go ahead.
will there be more than one way to access the rooms in the health center? Right now, we all have to go through the one entry desk, sign in.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So, well, as long as COVID protocols are in place, we'll still kind of have to funnel everyone just because we have to have the temperature and record who's coming in and out as part of the DHSR regulations. Until they relax those, we're going to have to keep that. But hopefully 2 years from now, we won't have to deal with that. And yeah, you'll be able to come in that new entrance at the top of Clayton Wing. We'll provide access kind of to Clayton or memory care or the short-term hall. You can come in the existing entrance or that corridor that will take you to the new elevator that can go up, and you can go straight to the end of the hallway right there. So the idea is you can get into each neighborhood without having to go through any other neighborhood. Yes, ma'am.
You're assigned to one neighborhood, but most people in your neighborhood don't like to watch a movie. Can you go to another neighborhood to watch the movie with them?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're not gonna be that strict. If you like you said, yeah, if one neighborhood wants to go to the mall every Tuesday and you decide you want to join in, yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be that strict, but the idea is that kind of everyone will be on the same page and kind of do things together as a group. But yeah, absolutely, you can go do whatever you feel comfortable. They'll still be offered to everyone. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What about transition during the construction phase? In other words, if you're going into a corridor and you're gonna be renovating 5 rooms, 6 rooms, what happens to those beds that are gonna be vacant now during the renovation? Are they gonna be spread out in the facility elsewhere?
Yes, sir. So it kind of a pro and a con to having the census down right now was that it allowed us to combine phases and eliminate 2 whole hallways at one time and disperse those people into, say, you're going to have 3, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you'll have 3 hallways where you can disperse people off of their 2 hallways they would be on now. So we can fill in the beds while we do the work in one section so that everyone will be out, eliminate the issues with dust and safety and all that.
We won't be sleeping in the hallway.
No, sir. You won't be sleeping in a hallway. Everyone will still have a room. Everyone will still have a bed. But yeah, so we should have plenty of room to get everybody in. It may be a little transition there, going from your comfortable room 101 to now you're in 205 for 6 months, but then we'll get you right back as quick as we can.
I'm not going back to a sleeping bag.
I got you. I understand. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I guess a naive question, but how are we affording it?
I'll call Philip. No, we do you want to explain that, or do you want me to?
So this one, I think went over some in our budget meeting back in October or September, but it'd be paid through by a loan when we'll be borrowing the money for debt servicing. So it'll be paid back over how many years. I'm not exactly sure the terms or everything, but it'd be fixed into our budget each year, just like we did before. Some of y'all, even before I got here, they did the same thing with the wellness center. It's about $6 or $7 million for the pool and the bistro and the movie theater and all that over South Village. And they just did debt financing for 7-8 years, and it will fit it in the budget. And it won't affect it much. This year's a little different because, again, the fee increases were higher because our census dropped in our health center. So we're budgeting, 15 less people, which is a lot less. But then next year we'll get back on track. So when we have to put that how much it is a month, then it'll fit into our budget. So we pay for it.
Yes, sir.
Great presentation. It almost makes me want to ask, when can I move in?
Yeah.
It's so attractive.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Question about the contract
Okay.
just two basic questions about the contract. Is it correct to assume that you've already taken bids on the contract?
Correct. Well, yes.
Okay, and have you executed the construction contract?
It's in the final stages right now, but yes, sir.
So the contract start date really hasn't been established?
Correct. We're getting their final estimate was, we were supposed to have it last week, still waiting on that, and then getting approval for everything. So in the next week, we should kind of have everything in line there.
Is it going to be handled as one general contractor, or will it be subcontract?
It'll be one general contractor that we will work with, and they'll handle all the subs.
And I was just wondering, if it's going to be important to finish the work once it starts.
Oh, yes, sir.
And is there going to be a contract clause that would require the contractor to finish by a certain date and hold them accountable by having penalties involved for overruns in time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. I'll take note of that. But yeah, we can talk about it. I'm not fully aware of all those details, but yeah, we can certainly talk about it and make sure.
But the contract construction start date is pending the execution of the contract.
Correct.
Who's going to operate the pharmacy?
Medipack, so the same pharmaceutical provider we have currently, they will be taking over that pharmacy space.
People get prescriptions from Walgreens and Harris Teeter and they deliver. Well, I can't imagine Medipack delivering.
Well, sure. No, I mean, you can still use any pharmacy you want. That'll just be an amenity on campus. And if you just want to walk down to the health center and use Medipack, but I'm sure they wouldn't. I mean, I'm speaking, I could be wrong. Run into your room around campus. I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But it'll be on site for convenience and
Security and delivery.
yeah. Okay, they do. Yeah. So they deliver now. So it would just be a nice on-site amenity to have with almost 600 residents. And was a neat thing they were able to make it happen here on site. So.
Well, the hour cometh, we spent an hour on the topic, and I thank you, Brad, thank you, all the people who asked questions. And now,